Hi, I'm Lee Carlson, and I'm going to be sharing my video about the final project for our 632 literature class from the summer of 2019. So I have a goal in the beginning to try and help my students investigate and establish a base of understanding. I don't want to force something that's going to put up walls. Knowing the clientele and the culture of our school and community, I think that's a caution I need to worry about. So trying to help them build some skills to be able to identify and understand underrepresented authors, groups, and cultures. Recognize the factors that impacted that and created that. Also see the responses from those authors and the cultures that they represent, and the differences and similarities that we might find today as we look at those same types of authors or types of groups and cultures. So we're looking at groups such as females and Native Americans and blacks, Latinos, Asian, Pacific Islanders. I also feel like I need to own it to make it meaningful. So I've got some articles, I've got some experiences, I've got some observations. This will be my second year, so I've been there a relatively short time, but I also maybe have a different perspective than they do, having come through that same system and maybe accepted and been normalized to some of the things that I've seen as a newcomer. I also want to give them opportunities to agree and disagree. Along with that, maybe we'll use some Socratic circles to facilitate that. When I talk about the articles, there's a guy named Brandon Starkey who wrote an article, said, if you truly knew what the N-word meant to our ancestors, you'd never use it. I think this was important. I had a situation this year as we were reading Mice and Men, where an African-American student in my class felt offended by using the N-word. And I think it's something that instead of just take for granted that it's in the book, therefore the kids have to listen to it, we need a bigger discussion with that. So in that article, there's some good ideas that he has. He went back and researched the Federal Writers Project that was done through the WPA in 1936 to 38. They created 2,300 narratives from people who had been slaves, and he has some perspectives from that I think I could share with my students and generate discussions. There's also an article called Teaching Black Lives, and it focuses on in the very beginning about a student in Houston in 2015 who was reading their McGraw-Hill textbook, and in there they had replaced the word slave with workers, and they also had placed this particular account in a chapter called Patterns of Immigration. This student could see through how ludicrous that was, and I think it would be a good place to stop and maybe even investigate some of our textbooks that we have in our school. And then another one called Teaching While White, where a mother with African-American sons has written to kind of an open letter talking about her perspective. The main crux being that we can't teach what we don't know. The onus is on us to go out and learn more about different cultures and learn about ways to recognize and understand the pressures that they feel. And therefore, also kind of shifting the idea to my students that the onus is on them to go and learn more and understand other groups and cultures. So the overview of the project is to examine new authors and cultures, understand why they are underrepresented, be able to research and communicate effectively the connections that they find. My most important goals are to generate questions and find answers for the students, also to examine multiple sides of the issues. And my motivation is that this is just too important not to take head on. I want to learn from my students is another motivation. I also want to impact the world and society and equip my students to do the same. And lastly, I want to model discourse in a way that's going to help effectively prepare my students to succeed in college, and in the workplace, and with their relationships. So there's my video. Thanks for listening, and that sums up what I plan to do with my project from Literature 632. Thank you.